In this video, you're going to learn how to lead more effective conversations. And the first thing when you go into any argument or conversation to keep in mind is that the other person has the same intention as you. And you usually want to be right. And so does the other one. So everybody who is part in a conversation does not want to be exposed and that his knowledge is false. So this is the first thing we need to keep in mind when we enter a conversation. And instead of asking what does the other person believe that may be wrong or that we see as wrong in our worldview and in our belief system, the better question to ask is why? Why does the person believe what he believes? And this tells us a lot more than just asking what he believes and then presenting our facts and showing that he's wrong. And when we ask the question why he believes what he believes, we can discover a few things, and from there we can start to have a more effective conversation with the outcome that we desire. With the question, why is he believing what he believes, we get to a point where we understand his worldview, his stage of development, his degree of understanding the topic at hand, and also his intellectual capacity to really understand what we may want him to understand. And for example, if we ask and keep in the back of our mind while we engage in the conversation, what is the best strategy for this situation? We will not, first of all, want to be right, but we want to have the best outcomes, not only for ourselves, but for the whole company, for the whole society, for the whole system we are interacting with, or the group of people. And so this quickly shifts from defending our position to developing our own human capacities and the capacities of the person we are interacting with. And so by discovering his level of understanding, we can work with the frame of what we want to deliver. And that quickly shows us that there is a whole framework that we take for granted in our belief system, and which makes it easy for us to understand why we came to the conclusions which we then rightly believe to be true, and what we want to explain to the other person. So we need to lay the foundation first. And by asking the question why the other person believes differently, we can work with that framework which we then discovers and which he then tells us about. And this might not always be easy, because what they tell us will sometimes not be really clear for themselves. They believe sometimes something, and you know that for yourself probably as well, at least I know for myself. We have all these beliefs that we don't really can explain why we have them, where they are coming from. And so asking where they are coming from the other person might challenge them already, and may open them up to questioning their belief systems. And then you also ask the question, how does the new information which I want to present into that person's worldview? And some situations it may be better to really not engage in the conversation at all, because you sense that this person is really coming from such a different background that there's no point in me arguing about this specific topic, because it will never really fit into his framework anyway. So that might be one solution in some instances. And then back to the question, if the person's intellect even allows for him to understand what you are talking about, is the next point. And this may mean that also, if you discover this person is not ready for this kind of knowledge, for this kind of level of understanding and complexity, then also it may be that defending your truth will actually really hurt them. And if you present this knowledge to them, it won't help them, because they are not on a level to understand it, but it will make them actually only feel bad because they feel threatened by this lack of knowledge and which they sense. And so another thing in this, or the same solution for this problem may also be to walk away from the situation and the conversation and not engage in it and not present your truth or your level of understanding and let the other person know that he's not on your level. So that ties in with the point I mentioned before as well. Nobody likes to be exposed. And this comes back to the whole point of politeness, which you have to sense in different situations. There are different degrees of politeness which are appropriate. And so always try to sense how much can you deliver to the other person as new knowledge for them. But the second option you have is, and really the only option there is to really get someone to know a new truth, is to lead them to the way of self-discovery. If you think about it, you don't really accept information which runs counter to your point of view just by being presented with the bare facts. And then if somebody expects of you to believe that, usually it's not that this works really well. The only way you can arrive at a true new knowledge for yourself, and so does everybody else, is through self-discovery, is through by a step-by-step process of understanding every little detail that goes into the basis and into the foundation of this new paradigm or whatever it is. And so when you enter a discussion where you have maybe clarified that the other person is on a different level of understanding, but you still want them to develop to this new stage, then you can lay out the path for them. And this might take a few days, weeks or months, depending on how big the change is for that person. But you can, if you are careful about this and teach them certain different other things first, and you think about your own past, what led you there and what really made you understand this topic, then giving them a step-by-step guidance will really be more fruitful in the end than just shoving all the new knowledge into their face, so to speak, all at once. And yeah, this is not the way most conversations lead to a successful end. And yeah, these are my tips so far for a successful and effective conversation. Maybe you like the video, then I would really appreciate it if you give it a thumbs up, and see you in the next video.